Hi, I'm Adaora Mbelu Dania, and I am an under 40 CEO.
The African Renaissance. The concept that the African people and nation shall overcome the current challenges confronting the continent and achieve cultural, scientific, and economic renewal is here, with young men and women taking the lead. Some call them the new school heroes. We call them under 40 CEOs.
At the age of 9, she wrote her first book. At age 19, she was working at Citigroup in the United States. At age 29, she is running a $1 million enterprise. As a producer, Adaora Mbelu Dania has been described as talented, ambitious, and fiercely creative. Making a swift change from being a credit analyst at Citigroup in the United States, Adaora continues to evolve into this creative force that must be reckoned with. So welcome to Under 40 CEOs, Adaora Mbelu Dania.
Nice to meet you again.
Now, Adaora, you went to the Northern Kentucky University where you studied. You got a BSc in economics and entrepreneurship. Had you always known that you were going to be an entrepreneur?
I didn't always know I was going to be an entrepreneur. I obviously, as a kid, I didn't want to be a lawyer, I didn't want to be a doctor, I didn't want to be an engineer, which was what most people wanted to do. I always told myself I was going to be the UN Secretary General, and so I sort of like worked my way towards that goal. And then I went into university and I discovered entrepreneurship. I did a minor in entrepreneurship, and I realized I could turn my passion into, profit, and then I went on that journey.
Okay, now talking about your passion, public relations, marketing strategy, brand building, and of course, building dreams is something you're passionate about.
Absolutely.
Now, tell me about this industry you're in.
It's sort of interesting because I don't feel like there's an industry for it. When you say this industry I'm in, I feel like creativity cuts across every industry. The good thing about strategy and brand strategy is you can do it for any industry. It's a really interesting one. I see it just growing and growing and growing. It's exciting. It takes a lot of intellectual property because that's what we sell. As a creative strategist, you sell intellectual property. It's a good industry. Okay, now let me go back to when you were at, I believe it was when you were at the Northern Kentucky University. You were the first black recipient of the Spirit of Entrepreneurship Scholarship. Now, what do these awards, recognitions, accolades mean to you? I believe that, it's sort of one of those things where you think sometimes when you're working on projects and you're working on things, you think nobody's watching, and these awards and recognition, it means a lot. It means a lot because again, I'm quite the introvert, so it does mean a lot that somebody's seen what I'm doing without me having to shout about it. Yeah, introverts, kingmakers, synonymous. You've mentioned in an interview that you're a kingmaker of sorts. Could you please shed more light on this? I say kingmaker because, okay, let me backtrack. So I have talked about being a kingmaker, but also I think I've now found an easier way to put it. I find myself being a dream interpreter. So you have dreamers and then you have people who action people's dreams, and I'm more of a dream interpreter. I like to take people's passions and people's visions and turn them into a reality. I'm more of the actioner, so that's why I call myself a kingmaker of some sorts. It's not always about me, what I do is not about me. It's not about pushing my brand. It's not about being out there. It's about taking other people's little dreams and making them understand that, if they put in XYZ effort, they will be able to get to where they're going. Okay, now you did mention your brand. Right. What is your brand? What is my brand? Yes. I haven't quite figured out what my brand is because I'm so busy working on everybody's brand, but in recent times I'm starting to to realize that I have to build my brand simultaneously as I'm building other people's brands, and I'm putting the pieces together slowly but surely, but it's getting there. Okay, in the course of building your brand, definitely you do certain things every day. What's your typical day like? My typical day, My typical day differs, because again, I wear many hats. I run multiple businesses. I run more than one business. So, I have days where I'm on a production set, as a producer and as a project manager. So on days like that, you'll probably see me in, black t-shirts and maybe black trousers, running around. I have days where obviously I wear the negotiation hats, and I go for pitches. So I have to pitch, and then you see me dressed like this. And then I have days where obviously I also manage a violinist and I manage an artist. So on those days, you would see me at industry nights or something. Okay. So it really differs.
Okay. I know that at age 24, you were already project manager for Nigerian Idol, for Nigeria's Got Talent. Right. What were those challenges that you had to overcome to make the strides that you've made so far?
I think one of my biggest challenges working on the show was my age. Because I came into an environment where I had to work with people who were much older than me and who believed that, their mindset was the best thing for the project. And so it was harder because I had to prove to them that, my age did not mean anything, and that I had experience. Because I think also in the society that we're in, people tend to measure you by your age, so people think that your experience is dependent on your age. But I started my first business when I was 15, so I've never really partied or hung out, as most of my peers have. I've always been working, and I mean, I started working at Citigroup at 19, so it wasn't. So for me, that's always been my biggest challenge in most things that I do, is trying to prove to people that it's not about my age, I can deliver on work.
This is Under 40 CEOs.
Adaora can be quite conservative and likes to stay out of the limelight. She's also quite protective of her family, but I must mention at this point that she's happily married with a son that's as fearless as she can be. Okay, now, with age, I mean, I with reference to, say, my little girls, I've got 2 little girls, I see they're fearless.
Right.
But I think with age comes a lot of knowledge, and then you start becoming more afraid of certain things. Now, in an interview some time back, you said you're almost fearless. Now, are you still almost fearless?
Let me cut in there. Are you quoting, using my quotes against me now?
So you're almost fearless. Right. Are you still almost fearless? And would you say that with age has come a little bit more fear?
As much as I'm bold in terms of my decision making and the things that I do, at the same time, when I say I'm almost fearless, it's the fear element it just keeps me on my toes. The fear element just puts me in check. It makes me also just responsible, and not be reckless about things. So that's why I said almost fearless. I can't be totally fearless, because I feel like if I'm totally fearless, then then there's nothing to keep me on my toes. And when you're courageous, you always have to have that little bit of, okay, well, I know you have all the courage, but have that little thing that keeps you going and keeps you, responsible.
Are you afraid of failure?
No matter what you do, there's always a learning. There's something you take away from it, whether it's experience, whether it's knowledge. You always take away. Somebody else might say, if you didn't make $1 billion from something that you've done, then you haven't succeeded. But I believe that as long as you take something from it, then you have succeeded. Have I had challenges? Yes, I have. Have I felt like I haven't accomplished what I want to accomplish on certain projects? Yes, I have. But again, I just always see it as a learning experience, if anything.
Now, how would you describe your leadership style?
My leadership style is basically, you walk with me. You don't walk behind me. I like to see people grow. I don't believe that if you go into a company as a clerk, you should remain a clerk forever. I see it as, I want to see growth. I want to see you 2 years from now, be a brand manager, while even though you started at a lower level. So my leadership style is more a case of, I hold your hand and you walk with me, and, we can achieve more if you grow as a person.
This is Under 40 CEOs.
Now, holding your hands and leading requires that you delegate. How do you handle delegation?
I have moments where, I'll send an email out and then I'll backspace because I don't want to encroach too much on what somebody's responsibility is. If anything, I believe, try. Let them try, and then I can always edit the final product, but let them try.
Okay. Now, what values are important to you and your firm?
What values? Integrity. Integrity is very important to me because you can work hard, all your life, and then you do one little thing that just, messes up your reputation. So for me, reputation is everything. I believe in delivering quality work. Not cutting corners. For instance, if somebody gives me some work and the budget will not work for the quality that they're asking for, I wouldn't take the work. I know when to say no, essentially. So in terms of values, I think the primary thing for us is integrity. Okay,
now I've spoken to a lot of CEOs, and human resource seems to be a major challenge, a major problem in these parts. But I've learned that experience counts for everything, and also just your thought process. So I don't hire people because they have a degree or they've done great in school. I hire people because they have a vision and because they can see tomorrow, like they can see that this is not about today, So for me, it's and I hire a lot of young people, I believe that my peers and my generation is far gone, even though we're still young, but I see it as we're far gone, and the next generation, the guys who are in university right now, are the people that, see the future and know and own the future. So I usually, a lot of my staff, the people who work for me, they're pretty young, they're in their early 20s, but they're delivering work on a very, very, very high scale, in comparison to people who are my peers or people who are older than me. So okay, now you talked about those I'll call them youngsters,
right,
still in university, right. And they're ones we should look out for.
Right.
Now there's a tendency that these guys are going to come out from university and look at you like, we know more than you.
Right.
How would you manage such people, and what are the key skill sets that a CEO needs to have, to manage people properly?
Key skill sets is really just knowing why you hired them. If you hire somebody, you need to know, I hired them because they have XYZ skill, and then you have to just let them do their job. You can't micromanage everything, and I think a lot of CEOs try to micromanage everything, and that's why they're not necessarily building sustainable businesses. I want to be able to travel, to wake up and travel and not have to worry about what's going on, and projects can still move forward without me being there. So
what projects are you currently working on?
I'm working on a few. I'm working on a project right now called the Amalgamation Project. It's the AMG project, and basically this was something that it's actually sort of social enterprise. What we're doing is we are building self-sustainable toilets, self-sufficient toilets in rural areas. We're also providing prosthetic limbs to people who need them. That's one of the key projects that I'm doing right now, because again, it's not all about profits. Sometimes you have the profits and then you also have your social enterprise. I'm a believer in social enterprise, so I like to simultaneously work on both. And then I'm working on some productions, which I can't really talk about on camera because they're not out on TV, but yes, productions.
Okay, beautiful.
This is Under 40 CEOs.
What's your current business structure?
I'm a creative, so creative enterprises, I believe, have a flat structure. In terms of administration, yes, we do have specific roles and responsibilities. So, I have people who attend to clients, like they're the client's point of contact. I have people who are campaign managers and whatnot. But in terms of generally, it's a flat structure. So everybody contributes, all hands on deck. There's nobody who's in charge. We don't operate with a you're in charge, I'm in charge mentality. We operate in a we all have to deliver this quality work. So we all put our hands in. That's pretty much my structure.
All right, let's go back to this young upcoming CEOs. A couple of them I've had conversations with, and they say, "Oh, I have this amazing idea.
Yeah.
How do I get funding for it?"
Right.
So how do they get funding?
If you have an idea and you believe strongly in that idea, first thing is you have to be open to criticism, especially when it comes to investors, because they won't necessarily see your vision. So you might be passionate about your vision, but then other people don't see it. But if you truly believe in it, then you need to be consistent in terms of saying that, I believe in it for this reason. And then you need to be able to show them why they should believe in your vision. You need to show them your vision from the angle that they're looking at it, which is basically profit. So you have to show that your business is sustainable and your business is going to generate profit for the investor. And I also believe that you shouldn't go to investors at the idea stage. You need to do some homework, and you need to sort of get, if it's a product you're working on, at least get a product design, at least get a sample that people can touch and see. It's more believable that way than when you come with the concept in your head, because anybody has ideas.
Very true, very true. Now, of course, you've taken just a simple idea,
right,
grown it into an enterprise,
right,
possibly a corporation over the next couple of years, but where are you hoping to take your business over the next 5 years?
In 5 years' time, what I want to see is, I want to see a business that can compete globally. I want to see a business, and when I say compete globally, I don't mean necessarily financially, but I mean in terms of the level of the work that we produce. I want to see a business that can compete on that scale. I want to see a business that has established a certain level of brand loyalty, to where I'm driving by somewhere and people know what my brand is. So that's sort of my 5 years from now. And I want to also see a business that is sustainable again. And that's why, because I really do believe in being able to hands off your business at some point if you want to. So if your exit strategy is, I want to, build this and then I want to be able to relax, which is what I want to do, then, that's the ultimate thing for me, is being able to hands off and just say, oh wow, it's running, and I don't need to be there day to day, but it's running.
This is Under 40 CEOs.
Now, I was snooping around and on your Instagram page.
Oh wow. I should block you.
And I came across this video where you basically said success is not synonymous with money. I think you even joked about it. Will you pay my bills?
Yeah, right. Right, exactly. Yeah. I mean,
now, what is success to you?
Success to me is basically accomplishing what you want to accomplish. So everybody has their level of, their goal, accomplishing what you want to accomplish. So everybody has their level of, their goal, and personal goals or professional goals. Success to me is not always professional goals. I think people see success synonymous to how much money you've made or your professional goals, and for me, it's probably even more personal goals than professional goals, and so success is, making sure that everybody around you is happy, making sure that, my family is happy, and that's because it's personal success that I look at. I look more at that than professional success. As far as professional success, I know that, it's vague.
Okay, so what you're saying is there's no point where you can say, based on this indices, I have arrived.
I'm not saying that, but again, 2 questions ago, I said for me, I've arrived is basically I'm sitting on the beach somewhere and I call my accountant and he says the business is running. That for me is more I've arrived. It's sustainability, because again, I want to, I intend to be a venture capitalist. That's my ultimate goal. My ultimate goal, again, that's part of the Kingmakers thing, is I do want to be a venture capitalist. So I don't always want to run one business. I find myself being a serial entrepreneur, so I want to be able to invest in other people's dreams and not just my dream and things that I want to do. And so sustainability is very important to me, because I need to make sure, and structure, I need to make sure that my business is running. And then I can do other things. So that's where I would be like, I've arrived. I've arrived.
Amazing.
This is Under 40 CEOs.
It's been an interesting chat so far, but as with our other Under 40 CEOs, I'm curious to know Adora's lifestyle choices. Okay, now I have a few quick fire questions for you. What do you like to eat?
Sushi.
What's your style?
Quirky with a bit of dapper.
What CEOs do you currently look up to?
Warren Buffett, Richard Branson, and come to Nigeria, Tony Elumelu.
What are your favorite brands to wear?
I don't wear brands. Everything is bespoke. I tailor everything I wear.
What car do you like to drive?
Maserati.
Okay, your favorite travel destination?
Sri Lanka.
And your favorite book of all time?
Talent is Not Enough. It's by John Maxwell.
What book are you currently reading?
I'm reading a book by the guy who started Tom's.
What makes you happy?
Family Friends.
Thank you for coming on the
Thank
40
you very
CEOs,
much,
Adaora.
Fab.